Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. What are we here to talk about today? Well, we are here in Guardians in the Galaxy because you might have noticed that I did a leak video on the Starjammers, the next upcoming team coming to Marvel Strike Force. Rocket and Groot are going to be on this team, so today we are going to be unveiling the entire character kits for the Starjammers team. We are going to be starting first with the reworks to Rocket and Groot because, I want to see, who has the most kind of value on this team from the reworks, if we should get started on building some of these characters. Unfortunately for me, I only have a 1 diamond on both of them. Sometimes I get lucky and I already have like a 2+ diamond sitting in the wing, but not for me. But if any of you do, then great for you. Now, unfortunately, even for a veteran like myself, I don't actually have that many T4s on this character, but hey, at least we're going to get to use this Christmas Groot skin if you do have that. So we're going to be talking about that in today's video. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's spoil this down. Spoil this down, actually. Let's go. All right, we're going to go into full screen mode here. We do have the Starjammers kit PDF here available for us to look at here. We are going to be starting as well with the reworks first. So we're going to be starting with Groot, working our way to Rocket, and then we're going to start with the new characters. We're going to scroll back up to the new characters. So Groot, let's just start with this basic, right? You can see it on the screen here. Attack primary target for 340% damage. This is the old version of that. Now it applies regen for 2 turns to self and the 2 most injured allies. So the stuff in the green is going to be all the new stuff, which is a lot for Groot. So Groot has seen quite a significant rework. So now his special, he used to burrow his hands in the grounds and do some buffs, right? It used to do this. Apply 2 death proof and defense up for 2 turns to self and all allies. Now, it clears all negative effects on self and all allies first. So if there's any disrupt, it's going to cleanse that before it does anything else. Still going to apply those buffs. It's going to apply safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Starjammer allies. It seems like it's outside of Crucible. I do want to reiterate, I forgot that this is a Crucible team, so do keep that in mind. But it does seem that the safeguard part with Groot does work for the team outside of Crucible, which is pretty cool. Attack primary target for it. So yes, it does damage now. This attack does damage now. A primary target for 400% damage plus flip 3 random positive effects. One thing that I do want to say is that I've not always got it right in terms of the damage. So do take this with a grain of salt. This is like a V1 version of the kit, so subject to change definitely here. Flip 3 random positive effects, so that's pretty cool. Call a random Starjammer ally to attack the primary target, and then in Crucible instead call 2 Starjammer allies with the highest damage to attack. Now that's probably going to be Rocket, because if you have as a rework character, you typically got diamonds laying in on these characters, plus the next best character after that. Now his ultimate, this was previously a cleanse as well. This one is kind of interesting. So his ultimate now reduces this is the Shadow King. The Shadow King ultimate basically reduce the duration of all negative effects on self and all Starjammer allies by 2. So this will clear trauma, right? And this is viable outside of Cosmic Crucible as well, but with the team. So this is pretty interesting, and the first regular character to have this mechanic outside of Shadow King, right? It's the second character to have this. It still does clear 2 negative effects. I don't even know if that's necessary anymore, unless I guess it doesn't, for some reason, clear it after this. This is the old version of it, which I believe is still there. But yeah, it's an old part of the kit. Heals self and all allies for 30% of this character's max health. So before it was like a flat rate, like we can kind of see it, in the game. But they've all kind of changed things to a percentage-based heal. Apply immunity for 2 turns to self, all Guardian allies, and all Starjammer allies. In Crucible, this also applies safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Starjammer allies. So both of his skills do safeguard, but only in Crucible and the ultimate. The special does seem to do it outside of Crucible. This does generate 2 ability energy to a random Rocket Raccoon ally, and I think this is designed to get him to ult on turn 1. But I think Groot is slower than Rocket. I think so. I don't know if that's the intent there. In Crucible, if this character has the full team, basically of Starjammer allies, generate 2 ability energy for self and all Starjammer allies. So the entire team gets this. Now, I don't know, maybe this is designed to get someone else to their ultimate. Maybe if the fight goes on for a while, it's a pretty low energy ability because it's just going to funnel 2 energy back to himself, right? So this could be used like every other turn, maybe. So maybe that's a thing. So why it might be there, we'll see. This does have the potential to be a Crucible defense team, I think, as well. So we'll see about that. His passive, when this character is attacked, gain +1 counter and apply slow to the attacker. Previously, it was just slow. Now it does do counter as well. If this character has the entire team, basically, of Starjammers, while this character's health is greater or equal to 40%, lower the assist chance of all enemies by 100. So blocking all assist chance, right? I mean, I'm trying to think who has assist chance that's relevant these days. Can't even think off the top of my head. But anyways, it blocks that. Until this character takes a turn, this character and all Starjammer allies gain 200% focus. So this is pretty good. He's probably, I think he's the last one to go. Probably. On death, 25% chance to revive, right? So this is the old stuff. But for every Starjammer ally more that you have on the team, plus 25% revive chance and revive with an additional 25% of this character's max health. So Panda Pool, Groot has become the new Panda Pool. He's basically going to have unlimited revive, unless you kill him with like a, you can't revive kind of move. But otherwise, he's going to keep coming back as long as there are other Starjammer allies on the team. So you'll have to kill the other Starjammer allies to reduce this revive chance, unless you have Mephisto or you have some other way to permakill him, basically at that point. And then after he dies, apply defense up to all allies. That's the same as before, but then speed up, offense up, and counter to all Guardian and Starjammer allies, and then death proof to a random Rocket Raccoon ally as well. That's pretty big. Groot got a lot of changes, so I think personally that he actually is the winner. I don't think that Rocket is the winner on this. Unfortunately, he didn't get as much of an improvement. His basic is a bit of a splash damage basic attack. If Groot is an ally, however, this attack is unavoidable. His special was a single target attack. Now it gives 20% crit chance per Starjammer ally, so the entire team, it's basically a guaranteed crit, which is fine. It also still applies taunt for 2 turns to Groot. It also gives Groot immunity when you do this, though, so that's interesting. It also calls Groot into attack, and then another assist from a random ally. If this character has the entire team, this attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. So that's good. We have 2 unavoidable attacks here. I believe the ultimate is as well. The ultimate has been changed to 360% piercing AoE. Still gains the 2 counter. If Groot is an ally, flip all negative effects on self and Groot. The only thing I don't like about this is this happens after the damage. So if you have offense down or something, like it's not going to flip until later. Apply counter to 2 counter to self at all Guardian and Starjammer allies if you have Groot. And this attack ignores defense up. That is nice, though, and it's piercing, right? Unavoidable and cannot be blocked. So that part is pretty good. I mean, it should have been like that to begin with because it was like a mad spray and pray kind of a move. Like he was just everywhere, right? So it makes sense. And his passive is pretty weak from what I see here. On turn, apply offense up for 2 turns to self and 2 random allies that do not have offense up. That's nice, I guess. Tech allies. I don't know if this is still going to stay there. They've been trying to get rid of this stuff. Tech allies gain 5% damage. If this character has the entire team of Starjammers, lowers enemy crit chance by 100%. So that part's pretty big. But other than that, like I do feel that he had the weakest rework of the 2. There's some good stuff in here, though, of course, but maybe it won't matter, right? Maybe it's going to be so powerful that his stats, with the stats, he's just going to blow people out of the water anyways. Guess we'll find out whether or not you want to, prioritize Rocket or Groot first. Groot is going to be the de facto tank, I think, though, primarily for the most part. So you might want to invest in him a little bit more, and his rework seems to be a little bit better, so we'll see about that. Now let's get started on the first character. We have Havok. So his basic, Plasma Punch. Normally I like to go for the passive. Probably should have gone for the passive first, but anyways, we'll get there. So Havok's basic is called Plasma Punch. Flip 2 random negative effects on self. I do like it when they flip first and then attack later. Attack primary target for 300% damage plus apply slow, and then chain to 2 adjacent targets for 250 plus apply slow. It's fine. Special energy upheaval. Attack primary target for 400% damage, and then apply stun for 2 turns and trauma for 1 turn. Attack primary and adjacent targets for... This is weird. So I guess it does damage and stuns the target first. I think that's his chest move, right? Where he blows the energy out of his chest. And then he's doing a second attack that hits the primary and adjacent targets again. So the primary is getting hit for like 700 or so, and then 300 to the rest. And then it's applying heal block for 2 turns to all of those targets. So you're getting stun, trauma, and heal block at least to the primary target. And then it does +1 trauma up to a max of 3 to each target. So it's actually 2 turns of trauma to the primary, and then 1 turn of trauma to everyone else. On Crucible defense, so this is the only time it calls out Crucible defense that I'm aware is just only in Havok's kit here. These attacks target a random enemy controller with charged instead, ignoring taunt, and stealth. And I had to look this up. Who is a controller that really matters at this point? And Storm is on this list, so it could be anti... I mean, there's a few, but with charge... It's a charge, right? With charge, right? So it's going to do that. It's going to stun a character with charge. Who is this even relevant to? Storm. Storm. Who else even has charge? Oh, Green Goblin, I guess? Green Goblin Classic? Does Black Panther sure have charge? Maybe. I'm trying to think, like, who else is relevant? Anyways, it's kind of a weird call-out. Maybe it's a call-out against Storm to clear her charges. That's all I'm thinking about right now. This attack cannot be blocked or counterattacked. His ultimate, Localized Catastrophe, pretty low on the text, but that's okay. I had a little... Oh, there we go. Sorry, attack primary target for 500% piercing. So primary target. Apply defense down for 2 turns. On kill, apply safeguard to self, all Starjammer allies, and all X-Men allies. So if you watched my leak video, then you would know that Havok does have X-Men callouts. I believe he does have the X-Men tag as well. So keep that in mind. Prolong the duration of defense down by +1 on each enemy with barrier. Now, I do want to say that this team does penalize any teams with barrier. You're going to see a lot of callouts against barrier in this. And I'm not 100% sure what this is for. There is a handful of characters off the top of my head that do barrier that might be relevant, namely Hank Pym and the Illuminati. Mephisto has it on his mark of Mephisto every single turn. Astral, maybe, Agatha kind of thing. Like there's a few teams that do have it. But another thing is, I'm also wondering whether or not this was actually intended to be a Battle World team. That this was intended to be a team to fight Null. Because there's so much call-out that we're going to see later on against barrier that it made me wonder because Null had a crap ton of barrier mechanics, right? And so I'm just wondering if that's the case. We'll find out. Well, actually, we'll never know, right? Because the game mode's dead. But I think they may have repurposed this from Battle World to Cosmic Crucible. This attack ignores defense up and gains 200% damage if the primary target has barrier. So again, penalizing that barrier, right? So it's like a primary target attack that's going to do a shit ton of damage. And part of me thinks that this was meant for Null, but I don't know. Passive Magistrate Summers. When an enemy attacks this character, a Starjammer ally or an X-Men ally, attack that enemy for 200% piercing. So we have a retaliate mechanic, kind of like Cyclops a little bit here. This attack is unavoidable and gains 150% damage if that enemy is barrier. Right? So part of me thinks, again, this is a Null thing where like every time the team gets attacked, that he's retaliating for what's essentially almost 350% damage if that character is barrier. Which is almost, I wouldn't say always the case, but it's a lot of the times, against Null. On enemy turn, if that enemy has barrier, again, and if this character has 2 or more Starjammer or X-Men allies, apply +1 disrupt up to a max of 3 to that enemy. What's really cool is that it's on enemy turn before they even do anything, so that's pretty big. Enemies with barrier cannot gain immunity. Here's another call out to barrier. So again, there's a lot of call outs here that I'm not 100% sure if there's any current characters that are relevant in the Crucible meta. Please let me know in the comments down below what you can maybe, like, just from looking at this, what you think this might be. I am not a master at Crucible. I think that they may have just tailored this from like a change of game modes. A lower damage reduction for all enemies with barrier by 25%. Okay, so they're going to take more damage. Anyone with barrier or an ongoing barrier is going to take more damage. In Crucible, this character and all Starjammer allies gain 10% speed for each enemy with barrier, up to a max of 50% speed. Okay, so if you put barrier up at all, or if you spawn with barrier or whatever, you're getting penalized, and these characters are going to get faster. So that's pretty big as well. There is also a speed bar mechanic on one of the other characters too. So that is Havok. Again, really taking advantage of that barrier mechanic. We have Lilandra next. So, Lilandra's basic Royal Strike, attack primary target for 350% damage and apply offense down for 2 turns. If Gladiator is an ally, apply assist now to a random Gladiator ally. You're going to see that in her passive, but it also makes you wonder if you want to use a lot of this in Crucible anyways. You do need the full team, but maybe outside of Crucible, you could use Gladiator in as a sub-tank, maybe as well. You could actually get 2 Gladiators on the team. So she does summon Gladiator, kind of like how Doctor Strange summons Wong. So that's pretty interesting. If primary target has barrier, gain 2 deflect. In Crucible, instead apply 2 deflect to the entire team, basically. Special Shi'ar Assault, clear all barrier on all enemies, right? So again, we're seeing a clear all barrier, penalizing barrier. Again, part of me thinks that this was designed for Null. Attack primary target for 400% damage and apply defense down for 2 turns and slow for 2 turns. Rebound chain to 3 adjacent targets for 250% damage and apply offense down and heal block to each target. Bury yourself and all allies for 30% of this character's max health, and if Groot is an ally, apply regen for 2 turns and +1 taunt up to a max of 3 to a random Groot ally. I don't know the turn of events or the order of operations on the team, because the special on Groot also does. On Rocket also applies this. This is also giving taunt to Groot as well, so he's basically the de facto tank for the team. Counterattack breaks this chain, and if this character has 3 or more Starjammer allies, this attack cannot be counterattacked. Ultimate Imperial Reign in Crucible. Clear all barrier on all enemies. So, what if this was supposed to be in Battle World, right? And now it's just changed to Crucible. I don't know, just me. If this character has 3 or more Starjammer allies, clear all positive effects on each enemy. I do like that all this stuff happens first, before the damage. So it's an AoE attack for 400% damage, and then bonus attack all enemies 2 times for 200% damage. This is a lot. Now, it's not piercing, but that's still a lot of damage, especially if she happens to have offense up when she uses this. In Crucible, apply trauma to all enemies on each attack. Now, it's not +1 trauma, so it's still going to cap out on 1 trauma, I think, on every character, but still, that's pretty neat. On kill, clear all negative effects on self and all Starjammer allies, then apply immunity and safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Starjammer allies. Havok had something like this, I'm pretty sure, on kill as well, because this is a pretty big damaging attack. Havok up here had it on his special? On his ultimate. On kill, apply safeguard. So that's weird. I guess they're all applying safeguard, but Lilandra's is better because it's 2 turns. That's what it looks like. Immunity for 2 turns and safeguard for 2 turns. So you want to get a kill. You want to get a kill with Lilandra more than you do with Havok, but I guess it's still beneficial either way. This attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked or counterattacked. So bye-bye anyone with evade, any dodge chance, anything like that, not going to happen. So pretty big attack here. I mean, I don't think it matters what class Lilandra is, like in terms of her role, but that's still a lot of damage. And her passive, Galactic Queen, the first time this character drops below 50% health, summon Gladiator. This can only trigger once per match, so it's a Gladiator summon, which is not going to have ISO, so do keep that in mind. But you can have both. It seems like there's no reason you can't have both a Gladiator summon and a regular Gladiator, unlike the way a Zombie Scarlet Witch works. On any turn, if this character does not have Exhausted, so this is like a defense kind of thing, or maybe if you're fighting Mephisto, I suppose, and he uses his book on you, flip all vulnerable on self and all Starjammer allies to regen. This is pretty big because it's on any turn. So, if you're going up against Cabal, this could be anti-Cabal, right? So as soon as somebody takes a turn, it's flipping all of those vulnerables. Pretty big, I think. And then just gaining more regen. On enemy turn, if that enemy has barrier, I'll apply offense down to a max of 3. So before they even take their turn, if they have barrier at all, they're going to be offense down. In Crucible, enemy cosmic protectors cannot gain taunt. And right off the bat, that's Gladiator. So maybe that would be if you're using them on Crucible offense against the Annihilators. But as far as other cosmic protectors go, that have taunt, I almost think that's it, unless it's future proofing. Mephisto doesn't apply taunt to himself as far as I'm aware. And there's nobody really else on this list that even makes sense. So this is, I guess, an anti-Gladiator if you're fighting against Gladiator, I guess. In Crucible, if this character has 4 or more Starjammer allies, enemies cannot gain speed up. This one's pretty big because this sounds like it's anti-Illuminati, right? Hank Pym gives speed up on spawn, but I think some other characters might as well. This character and all Starjammer allies cannot gain slow. So if you're fighting Hank Pym and he chucks his tank or whatever, you're not going to get slow. So this is pretty big, right? So maybe this is the fabled Illuminati Odin killer? Maybe. And then finally, we have Howard the Duck, his basic Quack Fu. Gain offense up for 2 turns. This happens first. In Crucible, instead apply offense up for 2 turns to self and all Starjammer allies. This is big for a basic attack. Like a team-wide 2-turn offense up on a basic before damage happens. Attack primary target for 250 plus bonus attack for 150% piercing. So that's 2 attacks here. In Crucible, bonus attack, primary target an additional 2 times for 200% piercing. These numbers must be a bit high. That's a total of 4 attacks. 3 attacks. It's the 250 plus 2 bonus attacks. So that's like 400, 650, 250% damage and 400% piercing basically in Crucible. That sounds like a shit ton of damage. The difference though is if you're running a striker on Howard, I think it's only a 1-hit attack. So it's not going to do all of this unless you actually use the basic. But if you're playing on manual, if you're actually using them on offense, then there might be a situation where you want to use the basic because that's a pretty strong basic attack. Special, Lucky Malfunction. Clear barrier on all enemies. Once again, another clear all barrier mechanic. Attack all enemies for 300% piercing, but for each enemy with barrier on the start of this turn, gain 100% damage up to a max of 500 on this attack. So if the entire team has barrier, it's going to be 300% piercing plus up to 500% damage, which is pretty insane. Now, this is going to be low stars, right? New character, unless you're cracking out. So it might not hit actually that hard in the start, but yeah, once this team becomes farmable, again, so much anti-barrier mechanic. And his ultimate BFG, attack primary and adjacent targets for 500% piercing, apply ability block for 2 turns, and disrupt for 2 turns. In Crucible, if this character has the entire team of Starjammers, apply trauma for 2 turns to all enemies. So that's the second AoE trauma. I believe the other one was on Havok, or Lalandra had another one. So I guess there's going to be a lot of trauma going around. I know Havok did +1 trauma or something like that. This attack gains 200 for 50% extra damage against targets with barrier and ignores defense up. So it's not an AoE attack, but it is still a splash attack, and almost every single attack on these characters seem to have some sort of anti-barrier thing. And then finally, as passive, Detective Duck. On spawn, apply defense up for 2 turns to self and all Starjammer allies. In Crucible, he fills the speed bar for self and the team by 30% and plus 5% per Starjammer ally, so up to 50% on spawn. Keep in mind that he also, the other characters also eliminate a speed up on spawn, so they're probably most likely going to be going first in Crucible against pretty much everyone. On enemy turn, if that character has barrier, attack that enemy for 250% piercing. So, another barrier, anti-barrier mechanic. We got the retaliation attack from Havok, and now we have this on enemy turn. If they have any barrier, they're taking damage. In Crucible, before this character takes a turn, speed bar cannot be filled or reduced by an enemy, by any enemy for themselves, allies, or enemies. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the Captain Britain Jean Grey callout, right? This is because themselves, allies, or enemies, right? So everyone, no speed bar can be filled, which seems, before this character takes a turn, which seems inconsistent with this part for me. Maybe am I misreading this? Is that the, can we double check that really quick just before we Jean Grey? I just want to make sure that that is the same text. I'm not crazy. Where even is that? Down here in Crucible. Blah, blah, blah. Where's the speed bar? Enemies cannot fill or reduce speed bar for themselves, allies, or enemies through normal means. Yeah, that's the same thing, right? How does this impact this? The speed bar thing. This seems inconsistent. Can they still do that? I don't think so. This part's weird. This might be subject to change. I don't know why. Unless somebody let me know in the comments down below if I'm misunderstanding. It does have a second thing up here. If this character has 4, the entire team, the speed of all enemies can only be altered by positive and negative effects. Now, this part, I believe, is a call out to like the Emma Frost X-Men, blocking of speed mechanics. So like a Man Thing, the increase of plus speed, that is blocked as well in Crucible with the entire team. Please let me know if I'm misunderstanding this or misinterpreting this. I think it's weird in conjunction with the speed bar mechanic stuff that I'm seeing here. If this character has 4 or more Starjammer allies, enemies cannot gain evade. And then we're back around to the Groot stuff that we already talked about at the beginning of the video. So it's quite big. It's quite lengthy. TLDR, I guess, they super punish barrier. And it makes me wonder whether or not this team was originally designed for Battle World, and then they just changed it to Crucible and all sorts of other things that they added in here. As far as characters that have barrier, off the top of my head, again, in the Crucible meta, I'm just thinking of Illuminati. I'm thinking of Mephisto. I'm thinking of, I don't know, Agatha puts up barrier, I guess, and there's some other random shit. Astral puts up barrier, I think. But other than that, like, I'm not sure. Maybe it's future-proofing something. For you Crucible Masters out there, I would be interested to hear your thoughts as well from this kit, from what you've seen so far. So let me know what that is in the comments down below. And of course, everybody, until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.